Hello, YouTube. It is my practice to tell my audience coordinates of the places that I describe. It doesn't happen often. It's not that easy, but for people interested in paranormal phenomena, if you can get there, I'll provide coordinates and I'll tell you to be careful. Well, I'll tell you about a very interesting place in Russia. Now the war is on, and war is bad. And I hope it's going to end soon, and peace will come to the land, and someday people can travel to Russia, to Ukraine. But let me tell you about this place anyway, and let's hope for better times for that land. Pshada is a village in the Krasnodar territory, southern Russia. The village is located in the southern part of the Gelendzhik urban district on both banks of the Pshada river. It is located 35 kilometers southeast of Gelendzhik, 145 kilometers southwest of Krasnodar, and 12 kilometers east of the Black Sea coast. Before the end of the Caucasus War in the 19th century, the valley of the Pshada river was inhabited by Circassian villages, which were abandoned during the large-scale all Circassian resistance to the Russian invaders. It was a bloody war. It's been a long time ago, but Circassians were largely annihilated. But some survived, and you can find them all over the world today. The surroundings of Pshada can rightfully be called the most mysterious place in the Krasnodar territory. It's not far from Novosadavoye, and 1,000-year-old dolmens are located in that area, and I'll talk about them. But there is also a mysterious anomalous mine. Its diameter is about 1.5 meters. The walls look like melted, and the exact depth is unknown to anyone. The first attempt to explore the mine took place back in the 1970s and ended in tragedy. The rope on which the researcher was lowered down there, it broke off, and the unfortunate man fell down from a huge, judging by the sound, height. The body was never recovered. The comrades of the deceased heard screams and wild screams of their partner coming from the depths of the mine before falling. The cable stretched like a string, and then it snapped. The end of the rope, stretched out by speleologists, was perfectly cut off, as if with a sharp knife. Many years later, other speleologists or cave explorers managed to descend to the depth of 20 meters, but they also failed to complete the experiment. Feeling a sharp indisposition, they almost lost consciousness. I managed to give a conditional sign for their comrades to pull them back up. Later, the brave souls who came to their senses recalled that after they dropped below 15 meters, strange things began to happen to their devices. The Geiger counter showed a high level of radiation, and the hands of the clock, watch is a better word, began to move faster than their normal course. The experiment was eventually conducted by a third group of researchers. Climbing into the mine to a depth of 15 meters, they spent a little more than 2 hours there. During this time, the hands of the watch ran forward for 2.5 minutes. Another mystery is the age of the mine, which, according to scientists, is no more than 100 years old. Researchers are also confused by the obviously unnatural origin of the passage, but only the technologies that allow drilling the rock to such a depth, they're still unknown. At least on our planet, a dolmen or portal tomb is a type of single-chamber megalithic tomb. usually consisting of two or more upright megaliths, supporting a large flat horizontal capstone or table. Most date from the late Neolithic period and were sometimes covered with earth or smaller stones to form a tumulus. Few ordinary tourists have heard of such structures as the Pshada Dolmens. However, people interested in history or esoteric matters know firsthand about the mysterious valley of the Pshada River, the river that flows into the sea. The Pshada River flows in the Gelendzhik region, and mysterious dolmens are located in its various regions. For example, 28 dolmens were found on the Tsygankov Ridge, located over a kilometer. All these dolmens have different designs. This group begins near the village of Pshada. For example, the central dolmens are the best preserved in this row. Some of them have traces of restoration in ancient times. So, a long, long time ago, thousands of years ago, somebody tried to restore them. There are slabs lying next to them, once intended for repair. Their exact age is unknown. Here you will see perfectly fitted stones, perfect trapezoidal shape. A sense of the diligent work of ancient craftsmen comes directly from these dolmens. Not all dolmens have been found in the area, and most of them have not survived to the present day. Scientists suggest that the Pshada dolmens were built from 2nd to 4th millennium before Common Era. Until the 1950s, they did not generate widespread interest among either travelers or researchers. Many dolmens of Pshada are dilapidated, but most of them are now protected by the state, as far as we know, although vandals destroy a number of them. It's horrible. This is very sad because they are the same age as the pyramids of Egypt, if we take the scientific determination of the age of the pyramids of Egypt, and carry a lot of historical value. Many of them have ancient patterns on them. The more complex the megalith is, the earlier it was built. On the left bank near the river itself, next to the apiary, there are 3 more dolmens. Of these dolmens, 2 have come down to us in excellent condition. The lower megalith stands on the very bank of the river. From it, there is a path to the next 2. If you go up from this group, you can stumble upon another dolmen. From the surrounding stones, it can be concluded that it was surrounded by several other buildings, probably I should say dolmens, that have not been preserved. This is the farthest group of megaliths from the village on the left bank. It's distinguished by the wealth of the ancient megaliths. The surrounding slabs form the fence of the courtyard. The right bank of the river also holds many dolmens. There is a single megalith next to the stream, and there are many closed or destroyed structures nearby. At a distance of 2 kilometers from the village of Pshada, a group of 7 dolmens have been perfectly preserved. Externally, there are structures made of massive slabs with a shallow entrance. It is believed that some dolmens can recuperate people or even answer questions. Therefore, people who believe in the supernatural make pilgrimages to them. The dolmens in the village of Возрождение on Zhana River, most tourist guides indicate that there are 4 dolmens here, but in fact, there are more of them. The Pshada dolmens in the village of Возрождение can be called the main sightseeing sites. Large buses with tourists often come here. So if you're interested in meditation or getting an answer to a question, then this is not the place you need. You can find tent camps here, and not far from the dolmens, there are even small stalls where you can buy souvenirs. In the summertime, concerts and festivals are held near the Dolmens. The Dolman Farm, it is located next to the Doguab River. The farm itself is sparsely populated but extremely civilized. Cafes, toilets, trash cans, and other benefits of civilization are provided for the full disposal of tourists. Dolmens are located near the entrance, and you can get around them, at least briefly, just to take the tour, so to say, in about half an hour. The names of the Dolmans are written on the signs, so it is impossible to get lost here. The Dolmans of Pshada, located in the farm, are named Tor, tenderness in English, Han, and Maya. It is believed that Tor helps to gain self-confidence. Tenderness, нежность, is responsible for the health and well-being of children. Han is responsible for the health of adults, and Maya helps in love matters. According to tourists, the Pshada Dolmans require respect for themselves. Those who decide to laugh at them or commit offensive acts will face unpleasant consequences. The entrance to the farm, you have to pay for it. The Dolman Village, which is located near the village of Pshada, looks like a showcase for archaeologists and researchers of ancient structures. 8 dolmens of different sizes and architectural structures are exposed on it. There are also ones that are completely destroyed. It is believed that all dolmens, of which there were originally about 40,000, and now there are only 2,308 left, are located strictly along the fault of the Caucasus Ridge. In 1993, Nikita Kondryakov, a famous Soviet and Russian scientist, archaeologist, with his father Vladimir Kondryakov, also a great archaeologist, mapped the sites of all 2,308 dolmens and a physical map of the Caucasus geological fault. It turned out that not a single dolmen was 1 meter away from this fault. All dolmens, like cucumbers, are located right on the edge of this fault. It is well known that the North Caucasus Mountains is a seismically active region where mud volcanism and diapirism are highly developed, and fault zones are waveguides of the seismic energy of earthquakes, both near and far. Diapirism refers to the process in which buoyant and deformable material rises to surrounding rocks, forming a blob-like structure. It is commonly associated with the ascent and emplacement of felsic magma. Apparently, single dolmens or their groupings from 3 to 40 and more are located in places with different emission capacities. Accordingly, in order to trap energy unknown to us in the traps that the dolmens obviously served, the ancient builders erected the necessary number of structures. They did it quickly, we can assume almost simultaneously, with the emissions from the ground. For this reason, the external shape played an insignificant role. The main thing was the absolutely sealed interior of the chamber. There are a number in the vicinity of the village of Pshada. The most accessible of them is located right on the outskirts of the village, and it is called the name of the dolmen is Mother's Heart. This dolmen is semi-monolithic, the only dolmen of this type in Gelendzhik. The dolmen is hollowed out of one large stone and is covered with a lid plate on top. The dolmen Mother's Heart stands in the forest on the edge of the village. On the way to it, you can see boulders with niche. The dolmen is also made of a similar stone. You can climb into one of the niche and take a colorful photo. A group of 6 dolmens is located in the forest on the slope of a small hill behind the river Pshada. All 6 dolmens are tilted. Almost all of them are well preserved. Only one lacks a backplate. Some have splits of plates. The place here is quiet, secluded, not the most touristic place, partly due to the fact that on the way to the Dolmans, it is necessary to ford the river. If there are tourists here, they are brought in off-road vehicles from Pshada. In the off-season, a place with dolmens across the river can be even called wild, since no one happens here outside the tourist season. Part of the way across the river runs through an orchard, and there is also a beautiful view of the foothills of the Caucasus along the valley of the Pshada River. The distance from Gelendzhik to the village of Pshada, again, is 35 kilometers. Buses from Gelendzhik to Pshada run from Nizhny, or the old actual designation, bus station, which is marked on the map with a blue mark from number 1. The place is amazing and seems to be little visited. Usually tourists are brought by car to the village of Dolmens, located on the right bank of the river, but rarely anyone gets here on foot. That's what attracts people to this place. You can calmly consider everything, take a break, and think in silence. The surroundings were very mysterious and fascinating. There's a dense forest, thickets of bushes on the edges of the hill. The rays of the sun weakly penetrate through the foliage, and mysterious stone structures stand on the hill. From this source, the exact age of the Pshada Dolmens is unknown. Again, it is assumed that it is 2nd to 4th millennium before Common Era. They are located in different places along the Pshada River. Externally, they are a structure made of massive slabs. In the front, there is a round hole about 40 centimeters in diameter. The approximate weight of the plates is from 3 to 8 tons. It's hard to imagine how they were brought to this place and installed. And the skill of carefully fitting the plates is even more amazing. It is believed that the Pshada Dolmens were built with a religious and cult purpose and served for burial. But there are reliably confirmed facts that the age of the bones found inside the structures is much younger than the age of the dolmens. It is possible that science will solve the mystery of the strange structures that have been here a long time. It is believed that dolmens can restore strength. Some people would sit next to them and get energized. And those people also left apples to appease the spirits. One can spend more than an hour in this place. And there are some, reportedly, strange and unusual sensations. You start to evaluate the structures and you can't really understand what it is, why and how a structure like this was built. Some believe that dolmens were peculiar magnets that drew to itself in the subtle energy of the earth, prana. But how and why it was used by representatives of an ancient civilization remains unclear to this day. Here's an interesting opinion. Considering all of the above, we can safely say that no one has ever lived in the Dolman Village. And Circassian legends that dolmens were built by giants should be taken seriously. Russian explorer and documentary films editor Andrei Polyakov has a theory, and this is another proof of the theory that he personally has been following for the last 25 years, which says that Homo sapiens was created using genetic engineering by the civilization of giants, with whose representatives the first people lived side by side for quite a long time. In 2005, during his expedition, Polyakov discovered direct evidence of the existence of our genetic ancestors. The skull of a humanoid creature about 2 meters 10 centimeters tall. Not the skull, that's the human, that's how tall he was, or she, which was found in one of the megalithic mounds similar to the famous Salbitsky. And today this is kept, the skull is kept in the Minusinsk Museum. Yeah, but there are legends in the area of the Black Sea shores that in antiquity dwarfs that arrived from under the surface of the sea had created the Dolmens. Pshada, a little bit more about it. In the autumn-winter period, it's described like mysterious, hidden by a haze of moisture, heavenly and earthly, flying on the slopes of the mountains, and creeping along its inaccessible protected valleys. How many legends and tales are floating in these mists? The water rains in these places during this period. It's the same, spring and magical, which is a rarity and a mystery. It flows down from the purest glaciers. It comes out of underground springs. It is full of powerful energy and purity. Pshada is also peace of the soul, in translation from the Adige language. That's the people who live in the area. It is here that the violent Gelengic winds subside, the vain mind comes down, and the heart rejoices. In these places, the hidden treasure of archaeological monuments is a whole village of megaliths, mysterious stone sculptures that have survived to the present day. For centuries and millennia, they have been silent about something important to us. Otherwise, why would they stand for such a long time? The mystery of the dolmen is no longer only felt by a living organism, but is also comprehended by the human mind through science as a real miracle that reaches contemporaries 5,000 years later. The mystery of energies, the mystery of water, and the mystery of information are hidden in the body of this unsightly stone creation that mysteriously exists next to us. Among these steep stone gorges, overflowing mountain rivers and streams, they stand and wait for us to tell us the knowledge hidden in them. They were not touched by nature. Time left them, and only an ignorant person in the last decades has caused more troubles than all previous centuries. That's how humans develop, unfortunately. People challenge nature and culture, and at the same time, they wanted to spare them. The places here are undoubtedly beautiful, and you don't have to travel far for this ennobling effects of exotic places. Pshada, virgin and closed, has now become accessible to hundreds of tourists and travelers. Fortunately, the routes to its charming corners are organized by professional travel companies and are under their protection. The Pshada River, its rapids are lined with mountain strata, like natural architecture, whimsically and at the same time harmoniously. They are able to compete in grandeur and harmony with the man-made symphonies made of stone from the famous fountains of Rome itself. Stone layers like steps lead us to the waters of the river, then to climb even higher with new steps leading to the amazing forest on the shore. And in the forest, there's a powerful oak tree, as if spreading its arms to embrace a brave explorer. And then the river, smiling, silver under the rocks and greenery, offering coolness and deep rest to the whole being and thoughts on hot summer days. Beautiful. Very nice written. If I knew who it was, I would give definite credit, but it's beautiful. And I've heard from people who have traveled there. And in my youth, I was not too far away from there. But that was so many decades ago. But not to disturb your inner peace and rest, I'm not going to tell you other legends from this area, macabre ones, stories of ghosts and disappearances, and more. They belong to the genre of Russian horror stories. I wanted to bring your attention to the mysterious mine and ancient, inexplicable Dolmens of southern Russia and the Caucasus. And I'll bring you more stories. And most of all, I hope that peace will come to that land and nearby lands, and people can travel and visit and be very careful around the Dolmens so as not to harm something that has survived thousands of years. I'll bring you more stories about such places in Eurasia, from Russia to Belarus, to Ukraine, to Central Asia, to Mongolia, and so forth. And I like that you listen to my videos, see the pictures that I can obtain, that I find, and illustrations, and that you tell others about my work. If you can support me, please kindly do so. You'll find descriptions on how to do it, links in the description to this video. Please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.